You have their plus 38 if you block it, so he just gets in for free. If, God forbid, you get hit, you lose your entire life bar, and if you had him in the corner, he sideswaps you into the corner. He gets, you know... This move is one of the best moves in the entire game, and they gave it to the character. This is, by the way, also one of the best moves in the entire game. They buffed this one. This got 10 frames faster. This is still the best whiff punish normal in the entire game. This is the only plus on block low 2M, and it's 7 frames. He has a 6 frame close M, right? He still does some of the highest damage in the entire game. His DP is still minus 12 on block. Belial already across the board had the best or one of the best tools in every single category you can think of, and then they buffed all of his moves. What were you thinking with this? As far as a character balanced design decision, I don't think I have seen a worse one in my time playing fighting games. All right, folks, we are back for more Granblue Fantasy vs. Rising action for you here, and I had a thought, I had a feeling, I had a burning emotion deep in my soul that made me basically realize that, hey, the Kala, hopefully soon-ish, will be out. We have no idea. We still, to my understanding, have no information on when she releases, but Vikala will be coming out soon, and with her will come another patch, probably trying to, you know, mildly adjust what they did in the Versusia patch. I doubt it'll be the same size, right? But the point is, in the meantime, it's been about a month and a half since Versusia came out on August 20th, right? So I felt like this is a good time. We've had enough time to play around with the patch, to figure some stuff out. We can do a little bit of a retrospective here. I might be doing a couple of different kinds of videos like this coming up. Just kind of analyzing the Versusia patch to figure out what I want from the Vikala patch more than anything, right? And right now we're doing it, you know, we're doing it YouTube style. We're doing top 5 lists, but it's going to be basically, so the idea is to do a top 5 biggest hits and biggest misses of the patch, and we'll kind of explain what that means in a second here, but we're going to alternate between the two, right? So we'll go like the 5th biggest hit, the 5th biggest miss, the 4th biggest hit, the 4th biggest miss, and kind of build up there until we get to what I think was the best and worst thing about the patch at the same time, right? So when I say hit or miss though, obviously this is going to be, you know, subjectivity warning. This is going to be incredibly subjective. This is going to be my opinions. I feel like I have decent evidence for why I think the things that I do, but even what a hit or miss is to begin with is relatively subjective, in the sense that I think when I say hit, I'm going to try and keep my bias out of it a little bit. Obviously, it's going to happen, right? But more so, they had very clear design intentions with a lot of either universal changes or character changes in the patch. I would consider a hit there if they succeeded in what they claimed to be trying to do in the patch, right? Even if it's something that maybe I didn't think was the best idea. If they succeeded in their attempts, then hooray. With the exception of things that I think are just horrendous decisions, right? Where even if they succeeded in their design, if I think the design was a bad idea, it'll still be a miss, right? Again, we'll get into it as we get into the actual list here. It'll make more sense with some examples, I think. Before we get started, though, as always, if you're watching on the VOD side of things right here, I stream every day from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on Twitch and YouTube, so be sure to come by and hang out from except Fridays is what I want to say. Except Fridays, 5 to 9 p.m. Eastern, except Fridays. And also, if you want to like the video, subscribe. If you like this kind of stuff, you know, if these videos we're not just playing ranked and we're just like hanging out and talking about the video game instead, you know, feel free to drop a like or a subscribe or something. Helps out a lot. All right. Without further ado, I know I love further ado. It's been like 2 minutes already, but without further ado, time for what I think is the 5th biggest hit, the 5th biggest win of the Versusia patch, and I've got like my own people are gonna come after me for this one. Hear me out, Ladivas. I think they did a really good job with Ladiva in this patch. Give me a second, because all of the good Ladivas are almost doing nothing but dooming, okay? But give me a sec. Just let me talk. Hear me out for a second, okay? The idea with Ladilla very clearly was that they wanted to shift her a little bit further from a strike-based character to a throw-based character. She's a grappler, right? They wanted to make her command grab a more important part of her game plan. Whereas, you know, before she was like one of the highest strike damage characters in the entire game, right? And her command grab did less than a regular throw most of the time. Her only really usable command grab, which was light command grab, most of the time did less than a regular throw. So,
Don't forget to smile.
Now, I think there's 2 really major things that I think, 1, make this a good change, and 2, really fit their design decision, right? 1, they nerfed Headbutt, okay? Like, listen, I'm not a huge fan of this necessarily, but like, as far as like the power level of the character, this is a nerf, certainly. But making her mid-screen a little bit worse, a little bit less consistent, giving her a little bit less reward mid-screen on her hits, I think makes a lot of sense, right? Grapplers are supposed to be most threatening in the corner, right? They're always scary when they're right up in your face, but they're supposed to be most threatening when they're in the corner. Ladilla kind of could just like get you into the corner from literally everywhere on screen. She was almost like, she wasn't quite, but she was almost like Nier pre-patch, in the sense like her, like everywhere was her corner. If you were like not literally back to the wall, she could get a corner combo from pretty much everywhere. Right, like it would go like auto combo. She would do like auto combo into 2 hits of headbutt or 3 hits. No, it's 2 hits of headbutt. The third one always knocked down. You would go auto combo, 2 hits of headbutt into 6XL into another auto combo into EX Lariat or something. And like meterless, that was 80% corner carry of the whole screen or something. So getting rid of headbutt as far as like a god tier corner carry option, it's still good, by the way. Right, like Ladilla still has very good corner carry. It's just a little bit more inconsistent, or she has to spend some resource on it, right? But yeah, you can still get corner to corner very, very easily, as you can see, right? But the real big thing with Ladilla, though, right? The real big thing with Ladilla, of course, is the EX SPD. This is insane, right? This about triples her average command grab damage. In the corner, I've actually started to, it's only really dawned on me recently, but like, you should, like, this should be the default SPD, I believe, that Ladilla's use for corner pressure, right? Because when you're in the corner, the thing about EX SPD is it's pretty small compared to the other ones, right? It'll whiff from here, whereas like light would hit from there, right? But it does 6,000 damage when it hits, man. Her command grab does 6,000 damage. It, again, usually before the patch, you would do light SPD. Light SPD did 2,300. With technical input, it did 2,550. So light SPD was like a throw at best if you did technical input. Now it's doing like 6,000, right? They literally tripled her command grab damage. Overall, Ladilla is still in a bit of a tough spot in the game, I think, but it's not really about so much the changes they made to her as a character. The universal mechanics of this game are very hostile to Ladilla. Right, Ladilla is one of the worst characters in the game at dealing with Brave counter. She's one of the worst characters in the game at dealing with meterless DPs. The massive amount of throw-in vuln everywhere in this video game really hurts her. But that's kind of a different topic for a different video. The changes they made to Ladilla, they wanted to make Ladilla a grappler. They wanted to make her command grab scary, and they said, yeah, fuck it, her command grab does 6,000 damage now. And the thing about it too, right, is it's not just the damage the command grab deals. So when you EX SPD, as you can see, EX moves in this game, your grab goes on cooldown. Your move, whatever special you did, goes on cooldown. And the cooldown for EX SPD is relatively long. But these two animations together are so goddamn long, right? Doing this into this, that by the time it's all done, EX SPD is basically off cooldown. You can immediately tick throw again, right? So this loops in on itself, and it only costs her something in the realm. It only costs her about 50 meter each time, and she builds like 17. If she builds about 17 from the EX SPD, right? So it costs her like 33 meter if she wasn't already at 100 when she EX SPD'd you. So she can loop this over and over and over again, and it's a 6,000 damage command grab. And her strike is still very scary. So again, I think this was they were trying to make Ladilla more of a grappler. I think they succeeded in that. There's some arguments to say that, like, you know, trying to force a character to be a grappler in a game that is so hostile to throws baseline is maybe not the world's greatest idea, right? But still, I think Ladilla is our first hit of the Versusia patch. Maybe all the other Ladillas want to kill me for this one, but I do believe this relatively firmly, okay? Let's go on to what I think was the first sort of miss of the patch. And I will say, it was a lot harder to find misses than hits. I think overall the patch is pretty good, but this one, actually, I want people's opinion on this in chat if you guys are so inclined. But so I'm gonna pull up Zeta right here. This is number 5. Okay, I think these get more egregious as we go on, right? But I think Zeta went in kind of a weird direction this patch, personally. So here's the thing, right? Even before the patch, I always was, you know, I was one of the people who was campaigning that, like, yes, Zeta's U skills were really good, and they killed you for, like, doing anything mid-screen when she had 75 meter or more. I understand that. But the character, to me, has always been more than just 2 really strong U skills. I felt like even pre-patch, right, Zeta had one of the best reversals in the game in Rhapsody. It had its weaknesses, right, but she could combo off of it realistically in a lot of different cases. She had pretty decent normals. She had pretty decent mid-screen, right? She had a projectile that was pretty good, right? She had okay corner carry-ish. She did some pretty decent damage on most of her hits. She wasn't, you know, if you just removed her U skills or something, she wasn't, like, still a god tier character or anything, but the character was very strong. What they did in the Versusia patch with Zeta is they did butcher her U skills pretty heavily, in the sense that, at least on the damage they do, in the sense that universally they hit all U skills, so now they get, you know, there's a 70% damage scaling to skills, to combos that start with U skills that wasn't there before. And then on top of that, they also, this is easier, let me pull up the actual patch notes here and go over to Zeta. But on top of this, they also nerfed Zeta's U skills in particular on top of the universal damage nerfs, her U skills also do less damage now, right? You can see on, like, U Spear of Arvest, damage been reduced 500 and 500 on all of the different versions, right? On Rise, same thing, 500, 500. On Fall, 500, 500. So they nerfed universally the damage that U skills did, and they nerfed the damage that Zeta's U skills did, and they made them a lot. I think the grounded ones a lot more unsafe too. So they really hit Zeta's U skills. In exchange, though, they kind of like gave her a lot of compensation buffs that she didn't really need. I don't exactly have the. I don't play any Zeta, but also I can't do like the new cool Pogo stuff. But if you fought a good Zeta post patch, you've noticed that like Pogo does fucking everything for the character now, right? She has her mid screen got even better, her average damage got even higher. She's got a fuzzy. She used to have a fuzzy, right? She used to have yeah, I'll get to that in a second, Dusk. It's a good point. She used to have a fuzzy that she could get into by ending the combo with her U Spear of Arvest to get a hard knockdown, and then she could land and like, you know, land with a meaty aerial and then either instant overhead or instant low you, right? So they just made that better now in the sense you can do that meterless. Now I will say, all of this, especially the fuzzy, it's my understanding, is pretty hard to do, right? For the average Zeta, the character did get worse, right? So raising the skill ceiling is not necessarily a bad thing, I don't think, but I honestly just don't think that Zeta needed any buffs at all. I feel like Zeta was already a very strong character. I wouldn't maybe have gone quite as hard on her U skills, but the character is pretty good now, I think. I don't know that they were quite... The reason I have this marked down as the lowest hit is, or the lowest miss rather, is I don't think it's anything egregious. The idea of buffing Zeta for taking her U skills down a peg is not like a horrible decision or anything. But my guess, because this was the only thing people talked about at large with the community, is my guess that is what the developers thought that Zeta was just, you know, 2 very good U skills. She was 2 very good U skills and nothing else. So but the U skills were way too strong. So when they nerfed the U skills, they said, oh well, you know, we should give her something in return. Where I think she was still really good even without the U skills. So again, I think the compensation buffs to Zeta made her. I mean, I don't know exactly. I'm thinking about my tier list as I kind of play more of the video game. But Zeta is really fucking crazy now, I think. This character is very strong. Because her U skills, by the way, are still not bad, right? Her U skills, like the idea, the main idea behind Zeta Arvest, besides the damage, which is just that, you know, when Zeta has 75 meter, you have to respect the fact that she has a gun she can shoot you with from full screen if you do literally anything. That's still around. It's just that gun does about half as much damage as it used to, sure. But the U skills are still good. And they are, and besides that, she got really big compensation buffs as far as Pogo, right? So I feel like, I don't know exactly what they were trying to do with Zeta, but I think they kind of went a little too far, essentially. But again, nothing egregious, right? But that's why I think she's, you know, my fifth miss, right? What's going on, Razzle Dazzle? Hello, no problem. We'll work on the YouTube dual stream as well as we go on. Try and make it a little bit more fancy for you guys. But I'm glad that you're here. All right, so that is number five. Real quick, you know, actually we'll get to these later. I want to talk about, well, we'll hop back over to the wins column again here, to the hits. And again, this may be controversial, right? But I'm a really big fan of what they did to this character in the patch, right? And this character is going to be Avatar Belial. Now, this might age poorly, okay? This might age poorly because Avatar, I think, is a little bit toxic, certainly now. But hear me out, okay? I'm a really big fan of the Avatar changes in the patch because I feel like they lean into his design and what is supposed to make him special way more, right? I hate this character now? Fair enough. Yeah, no, listen, I get it. But this might be a bad, this might not be a, but I do like this a lot. Here's why, okay? For the longest time, I was very much a champion of the idea that Avatar was the worst character in the game, right? I thought Avatar was horrendous. He was almost a joke character, right? Because yes, he still had some of the highest damage in the game in the corner, but you know, like he needed very certain starters or very certain confirms to get that really insane damage, and usually he did so much damage to himself in the process that he couldn't just TOD you, right? So his combo would do like 70% of your health and like 40% of his, and he had 14,000 health. So if you just like even hit him, you know, if a lot of the top tier characters in the game who had like good mid-screen combos and didn't need a corner to do a lot of damage, right? If they hit Abel after he did a combo on them, they would just kill him, right? And he probably built them meter in the process too, so they could end the combo in super and like for real kill Avatar for playing the video game. Now though, with making it so that his packed follow-ups, right? The EX packed follow-ups, or I guess the packed follow-ups in general off of his moves, they maintain the same properties of whatever move they came from, the long and short of this is that when he does his 5U follow-ups like this off of his EX moves, right? You see like that wall bounces? He gets like the packed follow-ups, the 5U follow-ups off his EX specials are nuts now, right? To the point that you have very likely seen avatars just like bouncing around the screen and doing like you know, they get like one I guess I forget now how to do exactly the flights follow-ups, right? It's down U or something or back U. Again, I'm sorry, I don't play Avatar, but if you know what I'm talking about, maybe if I can find it, I'll pull up a clip from a wall brawl or something, right? But it's like Avatar is like getting a Goomba stomp like over here, and they just like basketball dribble your ass from one end of the corner to the other. Like Avatar really is the whole screen is his corner now, as long as he's up you. Thank you. As it's this stomp follow up, right? If you're launched by something, that stomp follow up, ground bounces you, right? And then you just keep extending from there, right? But essentially everywhere is the corner for Avatar now. However, because it's specifically the EX specials that give him all these crazy follow-ups, right? He needs to spend even more health in the mid-screen, at least now, to get those crazy combos. So, Abel is still... like, they didn't take Abel's big weakness away. Abel is still a 14,000 health character who takes his own health, and in a lot of cases, I think in the corner, actually, his optimal combo... I believe, actually takes less of his health than it used to, but in the mid-screen, he spends way more of his health than ever before, right? So overall, he's spending more of his health, but he's getting so much more reward off of it. This character is scary now. There's nothing wrong with a character being good, right? And again, I don't think... where I would consider this to be like, if I understand that people are gonna hate fighting Abel because he really can just like kill you for like making a mistake once, right? But again, it's fine for him to be strong. The point is that he has to have defined weaknesses and counterplay, right? And the whole idea is that Abel is still taking an absurd risk by this, because even though his reward on hit is so much higher than it's ever been, what I said earlier about sometimes he just dies for playing the video game is even more true, right? This character is going to spend even more of his health, even from a mid-screen hit now. Sometimes he's gonna die. He's gonna spend like 50% of his health on a mid-screen combo. And if you just, you know, fuzzy mash on his pressure or guess right or in some other way get out of the corner and hit him, he loses, right? God forbid, bro loses the first neutral interaction and ends up in the corner, right? He can't take it. He can't take it. So, I think Abel is unironically a strong character now, but he's never gonna be top tier unless they make a horrible mistake, because his inconsistency through all of his, you know, again, just his glass cannon nature is never gonna make him top tier. But I think he's good. I think Abel's actually good, and this is a character, one of the reasons I consider this a hit is that this is a character who I think is very easy to make a horrible mistake with this guy, right? And make him absurdly broken. And I think they actually just made him good without making him broken, which I think this is a hard to balance character. And I don't know that I would call him balanced. I feel like calling Abel balanced feels like a bit of a joke, right? But I don't know that I call him balanced, but I think they got pretty close. I feel like Abel feels pretty balanced in this patch to me. He feels strong, but not broken, which is, I would not have guessed that they would ever do that before the patch dropped, right? So very, very good stuff to Arxis right there. Or I guess Cygames, I've heard, are the ones who actually do the balance patches. All right, so this, we're gonna talk about Abel's a whiplash in this patch, yeah. You can't have Belial in your name and be balanced, very fair. So we're going to talk about another miss now, right? This is our top 4 here for the misses. And this might come as a surprise to some of you. I don't think any of you are going to be surprised to see this in the miss column. You might be surprised to see this so low, right? Because the character that I'm going to talk about right now is Ferry, right? So, Ferry, obviously, you know, Ferry is disappointing, right? It is not very nice what happened to Ferry in the patch. Ferry was pretty unanimously considered to be a bottom 3, bottom 5 character at best before the patch, right? She was, like, you know, she was pretty widely considered one of the worst characters in the game. And then, as the patch has aged, when I was first reading the patch notes, I was literally cackling, right? Like, I was like, I can't believe they nerfed Ferry in the patch, right? Because they made her far M and her far H. They made them air blockable, which Ferry already has a lot of trouble anti-airing consistently, right? Because her 2H is also air blockable. Her only consistent air unblockable move is basically Beppo, right? And it's only the EX Beppo, right? So they made it even easier to jump in on Ferry, right? They made her the 6H gives you combos now on hits, but they also made it punishable on block, right? And they nerfed the damage on fuzzies universally in the video game, right? So I don't think Ferry was the target of this universal nerf, but this, right? This also feels like it was just like a why? Like, why did Ferry get hit? All of this, right? But at the same time, right? I think it's actually this is gonna be my first time ever doing this. But is it? You have to like hit a button and pull in, right, on the light whip. She gets the side swap off her whip now. Yeah, that, right? This is absurd. This is actually a really nice buff to Ferry, right? This makes it actually very, very scary to even pressure Ferry in the corner. Like, when you get her in the corner, it can actually be kind of scary for you. Because you can side swap into that very easily. And then, yeah, her super, she gets better combos. She gets, like, Ed-style combos. You're pissing me off. Stand still, you're mine. Stand still, you're mine. Stand still, you're mine. Off of this, too. So, like, Ferry got some, honestly, I think pretty bad nerfs and pretty good buffs. Ferry was probably side-graded, right? He might be slightly buffed. But I think Ferry is still very, like... Ferry is kind of what I expected would happen to a character like Abel. Because, kind of like Abel, characters that are very, if you imagine, I always like to use the example of like a JoJo stat hexagon, you know what I mean? Ferry was always like, any character that is like, they have one gigantic spike, like a 6 out of 5 in one stat, and like a bunch of 2 out of 5s and everything else, those characters are scary, right? Those characters are balanced nightmares, because it's very easy to make Ferry broken. It's very easy to make Abel broken. It's very easy to make Ladilla broken, right? Things like this. But it's also very easy to make them under tubes, because by their very nature, they are unbalanced designs. So they kind of just left her weak. Now, I don't think that's really bad for the game. It's the reason this is like lower on the list is that, yes, they didn't give Ferry exactly what she probably should have gotten compared to some of the characters around her. Like, characters better than her got better buffs than Ferry did, right? But I think it's okay. It's okay because this is a very difficult character to balance. Right? Even though Ferry is bad, the one-sided dominance meme, listen, I know, I understand, but like, even though Ferry is bad, she really can, like, the rounds where Ferry wins really do feel kind of oppressive, right? Emotionally, this character is annoying to people, right? So I think it's very risky to make her too strong. So I think while zoners and grapplers are always shit for casuals, yeah, exactly. So while I again, Ferry I think is not what you would have wanted, and you know, and I feel bad for the Ferry mains. At the end of the day, it's not the same thing as like a oppressive top tier remaining top tier. That's bad for the whole game, right? But like a shitty character remaining shitty is only really bad for the characters that play her, right? So, while yes, it's sad what happened to Ferry, I don't blame Cygames too much. It's a hard one to balance. Moving on to the other, once again, hopping back here to our wins. This is a universal change actually, but I'll bring Ladilla out because I think this actually. Well, maybe, like, she was the character that benefited off of this maybe, like, the most in the entire patch, right? But this, I think, is actually, it was one line in the patch, but this was an incredible change, and I'm very, 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 very happy that Cygames did this. I think this was an amazing idea, and it is quite simply, hold on, this, right? 6XL into close M being universal and being equalized between everyone. Oh my god, this is an amazing idea. Thank you very much, Cygames, because 6XL is like, it is the system mechanic of this game, right? It is besides like Brave Counter probably, right? 6XL is like the best thing, like the most useful universal system mechanic. And the reward on this, you can use, I mean, Voss technically, yeah, Voss doesn't really, you know, I hate this change. I love this change, and here's why, right? The reason I love this change is because, like, half of the cast already got this. Right? Half of the cast, like Sora's, I brought Sora's up here as an example, right? Sora's already got this pre-patch, right? Nier already got this pre-patch. Belial already got this pre-patch. Siegfried already got this pre-patch, right? Like, this was, I think, even before the Versusia patch, I think one of the biggest problems with the game, or the goal of the patch, should just be to equalize the game, right? The game was already relatively balanced, right? There were some really high outliers and some really low outliers. But I think squishing most of the characters in the game were at a power level that was pretty decent, actually. Just kind of squishing the top and bottom down to the middle is a great idea. And this is like the epitome of that change, right? This is the epitome of that change, is being able to, like, the reward on 6XL was so skewed in the video game, right? Now, unfortunately, Basaraga probably still doesn't get very much, right? But like, you know, take the example, like, Ladilla was one of the characters that got the least off of her 6XL. Voss, even more so, possibly, right? But, like, you would just get, basically, 6XL into far L, and that was it, strike-wise. Of course, Ladiva's a little bit different, because her 6XL puts her in range for a 50-50, a command grab 50-50, right? But again, even a mid-screen, I mean, backdash just blows that up anyway, right? So it's a whole thing. But, like, strike-wise, she got this into this. And that was it. If you wanted to dump meter on it, you could do this, right? But again, that was, whereas, like, you know, Nier, for example, will get 6XL into close M into your entire fucking life bar, right? Like, Nier would get, like, 8,000 damage off of this. You know, Sora's could get, like, corner carry and, like, his combo started, or a super or whatever. Like, some characters got, like, 6,000 to 7,000 damage sometimes, hitting a 6XL in mid-screen, and some characters got, like, 2K, if that, right? So, making it equal and also lowering the reward. It's not just that they made, let me pull up the patch notes again. It's not just that they made 6XL to close Sam universal, they also made it scale the combo, right? Same way as how U skills do. So they equalized the rewards, good, and they made the rewards smaller, also good. Because I think in general, 6XL was so goddamn rewarding for some of the cast that this is, yeah, again, this is just a wonderful change. Like I cannot say enough nice things about this. Not just because it helps Leva a lot. It just reduces the gap. It's very, like, you can balance individual characters, but universal mechanic changes have incredibly far-reaching consequences on the game pretty much all the time, right? And when some characters are much better at interacting with universal mechanics than others, that's where you can really start to see those, like, those tier gaps open up. So being able to make it so everyone can get a lot of value off 6XL and no one is like 6,000 damage ahead of anybody, top 10. Amazing. Really well done. Great shit, Cygames. I got nothing but positive things to say about that change. Which brings us to our next miss. And again, this is one of those things which I feel like nobody is surprised this is here. You might be a little bit surprised this is this low, right? But we're going to talk about, I mean, what do you want, right? We're going to talk about this guy, right? So, I mentioned when I was talking about Ferry, this is our third biggest miss of the patch right here. I mentioned when I was talking about Ferry, right, that leaving an oppressive top tier oppressive is much worse for the health of the game than leaving kind of a shitty character shitty, right? Now, that's not what they did. They did not leave Belial oppressive. They buffed. Belial got, like we said Belial, maybe, like, Ferry got side grade or whatever. When I said the characters better than Ferry got bigger buffs than Ferry did, Belial got bigger buffs than Ferry did. Unironically, Belial got buffed more than Ferry did in this patch overall, right? What the hell is this? Why does he side swap off of this now? He already, like, what, like, pre-nerf to Siegfried's H Fireball. Siegfried's H Fireball was probably the best fireball in the game. If it wasn't, this was the best fireball in the game, right? Like, probably one of those two, right? One of those two was the best fireball in the game, was probably Siegfried H Fireball, but Belial's Fireball was in there, in the discussion. And they buffed it. Like, significantly. He gets so much more frame advantage off this now. He can safe jump off this, I think, but also he gets combos off this, he gets side swaps, he does this in the corner. So many Belials, even like at like high level, they just get 50 meter and they just do this now. Because why the hell wouldn't they? Because if you spot dodge this, oh well, sure. But if you block it, they're plus 100 billion thousand, I think, is the correct scientific term for that. Yeah, they're plus 38 if you block it. So he just gets in for free. If, God forbid, you get hit, you lose your entire life bar. And if you had him in the corner, he side swaps you into the corner. He gets, this move is one of the best moves in the entire game. And they gave it to the character. This is, by the way, also one of the best moves in the entire game. They buffed this one, the medium fireball. I think it's the medium one. They also buffed this one. That one's also one of the best moves in the entire game. This got 10 frames faster. This is still the best whiff punish normal in the entire game. This is the only plus on block low 2M and it's 7 frames. He has a 6 frame close M, right? He still does some of the highest damage in the entire game. His DP is still minus 12 on block. Like, minus 9. I immediately with the DP right there, it's minus 9 apparently, right? Belial already across the board had the best or one of the best tools in every single category you can think of, and then they buffed all of his moves. What were you thinking with this, right? Like, the reason this isn't higher up is because, spoiler alerts, the last two things are universal things, so they're always going to be more impactful. But as far as a character balance design decision, I don't think I have seen a worse one in my time playing fighting games. You took a character that was arguably top 3 and buffed him. While, oh, by the way, also nerfing all the top tiers around him. It's obviously intentional at this point. If you read the patch notes, right, the same place they mentioned the one-sided dominance for Ferry. For Belial, they go, we know Belial might seem simple, but he's really strong, and in this patch, we kept him strong while buffing some of his more underused tools. Good point, Razzle Dazzle. 5-frame 2L that is bigger than most 6-frame 2Ls. Look at this goddamn size of the hitbox on this thing, right? Look at this. Why does this hit so far and also be 5 frames? Look at that. Look how far that hitbox extends. What the fuck is that? Right on the first few active frames, it's so big. This is bigger than, like, bro, this is like almost the size of his 2M, and it's 5 frames? What are we doing? So, Belial is just, as far as a single character balancing decision, I don't think you could have made it worse, right? He was already, again, arguably, I mean, if you had Belial top 5 last patch, I think you were smoking crack, and he was probably, like, I think it was, I can't remember if I had him top 3 or not, but he was very arguable for that spot. And then they were like, hey, what if we gave him like 3 really significant buffs and literally 0 nerfs, except... Oh, I think it's Guard Crush away. This isn't Guard Crush anymore. Thank you. That was a fucking glitch. That shouldn't have been in the game in the first place, right? That should not even have been in the game in the first place, right? And they took it away. Good job, right? But like, besides that, and that is a significant nerf because that was so good. But like, it's still plus on block. It's still a really good use skill, right? I just don't know what they were thinking, right? We've talked about it. We've talked about it a lot, right? We've talked about it a lot. We've talked about it at great length when the patch notes dropped every week since. But obviously, Belial is insane. Belial is the worst character balance decision that I have seen in a very, very long time, right? Like, because it wasn't releasing a character overpowered is one thing, but keeping them overpowered for 3 to 4 years, I don't think no fighting game that I have played has made worse character balance decisions than they did with Belial. I have a lot of nice things to say about this patch and say about side games, but what the fuck is this? Anyways, moving on, right? Belial, horrible idea. I don't know what the hell they're thinking with this guy. Let's move on to what I think was the second biggest hit, and actually a great example of what they could have done to Belial, right? So this is a little bit more. This might be surprising to some people, just because this character is still very strong. But I just adore the simplicity in the way they changed him, and I think it really makes him what I've called this guy a healthy top tier before at this point, and that's Siegfried. Now again, Siegfried did get nerfed. Siegfried got nerfed. He's still really good, but I think this is a great example. I am not one for gutting characters. I don't think that a character being strong warrants them being sent to Brazil, right, to hell. I think with the way they changed Siegfried was elegant, and it made him still strong, but not like just fucking dumb, right? And really, it all really just comes down to one thing. There's a couple of things, but it really is this, right? It really is this thing. This got made faster, which, funny enough, is a big nerf, right? It being made faster and staying on screen for less time means that Siegfried can't just like run. If you didn't know before the patch, if you're new to Granblue, Siegfried could just throw this out from literally any place on screen and run behind it, and it was a free win neutral tool because it was a slow moving, like very hard to jump over, just gigantic wall of hitbox that traveled with him in the screen, right? You know, if you play Street Fighter 6, for example, imagine like Fireball Drive Rush, right? Except he did it for no resource, right? He didn't even need to spend drive gauge to do this, right? He just got that shit. He just like threw out this gigantic, like unfuckwittable projectile and then ran behind it. It was literally a win neutral button. We just talked about how good Belial's Fireball is. Even with the buffs to Belial U Fireball, Siegfried H Fireball as it stands is probably, if it was in this version of the game, it's probably still the best Fireball in the game, right? This thing was just absurd. And they really nerfed it a lot, right? And I discovered as the patch went on, this was not just a nerf to Siegfried's neutral, right? So in the corner, they made this plus on block, right? However, also something that Siegs used to do all the time pre-patch is they would like, Siegs got a really good far range. He's got really good buttons in general. He's got this big ass far range you could poke you with from like anywhere, right? So Siegs all the time in the corner would do this, and they would either fireball, right? Or they would do Orkin's down, yeah. They would do Fireball, or they would do, I guess it would have to be a little bit closer, but yeah, they would do this into Orkin, right? Or they would do this into Verdrangen right here, right? The big overhead slam. And the timings on these options were a little bit different, mostly because of this. This thing was slow enough that, so if you don't know, right? You want to spot dodge this, basically as soon as you see it, and you want, it's the medium one actually, I think is the one they usually would do, the one that's actually slow enough to, like, is gapped, but is also plus, right? You want to spot dodge this as soon as you see it, basically. You want to spot, this actually as well loses the spot dodge too. If you spot dodge this, and maybe I can show instead of telling here. Let me have the Siegfried just do Orchid, right? And if I just hard call out spot dodge it, hold on, gotta be I was a little bit too early there, right? Oh, I need to let go of the stance. But he basically, he just does, he stands there, and just, if you spot dodge that, you're at advantage, basically. The frame meter is not going to show it properly. But if you spot dodge, you're at advantage. If you spot dodge this, you're at advantage. But the problem was, this move was so much slower that if you just, like, on the poke like this, if you just spot dodged, you got killed. Like, the fireball hits you and you got killed. Now, if Siegfried, let me switch around here. If Siegfried just does, if he just does poke into fireball like this, and as soon as you see the poke, you just hard call out spot dodge, the fireball being made faster, this whiffs now, right? So now, off of that poke, Orkin, the Verdrangen, and the fireball all lose to you spot dodging. Now, of course, just like hard call out spot dodging like that. Of course, Siegfried can still, it's not like he's helpless here, but he can delay things, he can do things to call out your spot dodge, right? Lots of things like that. But still, it was also a nerf to, like, the most, like, basic, like, sort of brain-dead level 1 Siegfried offense. They have to think a little bit more. It's more interactive now, right? So, this one Fireball nerf does a lot, actually. And something I don't see talked about a lot as well, this super, right, is, like, the best SBA in the game. Sure. Yeah, it's literally fucking chain shift. You hit buttons. Siegfried has 100 meter, and you hit buttons from literally anywhere. I guess you have to die now. What they did, though, is they made the super minus 30 on block. This didn't used to be this minus on block. I think it used to be minus... Was it minus 15 or something? They, like, doubled the frame disadvantage on this. Siegfried being better at skipping a neutral than a literal rushdown character is something. I mean, Siegfried had the best neutral skip in the entire game, right? So, like, they made, like, while the super is still really good, they made this minus 30 on block. So they made the risk on this much higher. Because this can hit from, like, weird angles sometimes, if it's from far away enough, where, like, he's actually quite, like, he's kind of, like, pretty far away from you once you block it. Maybe I'm thinking of spot dodging it? Because, yeah, it does kind of home in on you, huh? What if you're, like, really far away? Yeah, I guess, yeah. Well, yeah, they have more recovery regardless. It's still a good thing, right? Being at minus 30 means you can get much easier punishes on this, much better punishes on it. So, again, that was a good change. And the Fireball thing, it's one line, really, right? But it's such an elegant change, and it takes Siegfried from, like a really just annoying brain-dead character to a strong character who has to, like, actually think through the game and play and use his admittedly still very strong tools, right, to win the neutral and go from there. And then also on offense in the corner, it makes him a little bit weaker, where, like, offense is really never Siegfried's strong suit to begin with, right? He relied kind of on, like, universal mechanics and his very strong buttons, essentially. He didn't have, like, you know, any kind of crazy mix or anything like that, right? Anyways, very, very happy with the Siegfried changes. And boy, they could have done something like that to Belial, couldn't they? Like, you know, just take away some of the most egregious things about him and still keep him strong. You don't have to nerf him into the ground. Just, like, literally do fucking anything. Thoughts? No? Okay, let's move on then. My bad, Cygames. I was unfamiliar with your game. All right, so for number 2, I'm going to call an audible here. I have a list in front of me where I have the things listed out. I'm going to swap this real quick, right? Yeah, I'm going to swap my number 2 and my number 1, I think, for misses, because... Am I going to do that? Am I going to do that? You know what? I'm going to swap it. I'm going to swap it. I'm going to call an audible here. I'm going to swap it in runtime. I was kind of thinking about it as I was making it. So for number 2, right? I think there is no better example of a character to bring this up. And if you watch enough of my videos, you know exactly what I'm about to talk about, especially when I pick Potato.
Very good on
right?
This person.
You know exactly what I'm about to talk about, right? Yo, Hecko, thank you. Yo, for the 4 months. Thank you. Much appreciated, man. Your continued support is awesome, and I appreciate it greatly. Enjoy your continued ad-free viewing as well. But yes, you know exactly what I'm about to talk about, right? And it is fucking it is fucking this thing, right? And not just this thing, but this is representative of a bigger design problem in this game in general. This DP is -8 on block. Why? Why is this -8 on block? There is no reason for this. And again, Charlotta is the biggest offender here, having like literally a -8 on block DP, right? But this is a problem that is universal with the video game. DPs are not, to be fair, the reward I think a DP is not that big. Well, I mean, in terms of like damage or anything. If you hit a non-UDP in the corner, you don't get out of the corner either, right? You just like kind of, but it lets you just completely disrespect your opponent's turn, right? Right, yeah, it's also height dependent. Yeah, it can be more or less minus if you stand or crouch block it, and pushback changes too based on if you stand or crouch block it. The point being that this game has a lot of really funky design around, you know, fantastic beasts and where to find them, aka bullshit reversals and how to punish them, right? So, Charlotta's DP is -8, and whether you stand block it or crouch block it, the pushback changes. So you're like, I think if you don't crouch block this thing, you're not in like close normal distance. If you stand block, you get pushed out of proximity normal distance, which is even weirder, right? She's not the only offender of this, of course. We were just talking about Belial, right? Belial's DP, for some ungodly reason, is at worst -12, right? And you can make it, or yeah, you can hit it with some of the later frames, make it even less. I think it's supposed to be -12, right? Oh, -11. Oh, my bad, Belial. Yeah, you can hit with like the later frames, and it's gonna be like -9 and shit too, depending on where exactly, right? His UDP is -10, I think. No, it's still -11, yeah. But -11 is still not really a very large number. A lot of characters can't even close H punish this, some of the slower characters. Oh, yes, cut Charlotta's shorts. Yes, so true. Yeah, also height dependent, but yeah. But anyway, so, and it's not just Belial, right? There's, like, you can think of loads of DPs that are difficult to punish, where, like, but then it's the problem is, it's not just that if reversals were difficult to punish in this video game, then that would be weird. I still wouldn't like that design decision, but it would be weird, right? The problem is, though, that that's not the case. It's not universally the case at all, right? Grand DP is not exactly the worst reversal in the game. This thing's -30 on block, right? You can like, go make a sandwich and then come back and then, you know, tell Grant to think about what he did, and then kill him for this thing. Or, you know, God forbid you talk about some of the, like, you know, the actual slower supers in the game. I think, or some of the slower DPs in the game. Bubs is a great example of a character that is hurt by this, right? I'd be pissed if all reversals were hard to punish. Yeah, but at least it'd be consistent then. Like, at least it would be a design decision, right? But, like, Charlotta DP is minus 8 on block. And then, is it this? Right? And then Bubs is minus 24. And then this one, I think, is even more minus? No. Fair enough. Minus 24. Still a big number. But then also, for example, it's not just the DPs. There's supers, too. I'll very gladly bring out Ladilla here, right? But, like, Ladiva's supers are really dumb. This super is minus 11 on block. Why? Why isn't this like minus 40, right? And the dumber thing is it's less minus on spot dodge, right? This is 8 frame. This is minus 8 on spot dodge. If you spot dodge this, it's less minus. And you can hit from further away and make this even less. You can make this even safer, I think. Yeah, minus 9 right there. It has 6 active frames at best. I think you can make this like minus 7, right? Ladilla can't even far M punish her own super if it's done perfectly. What the fuck is that about? And there's also the whole purpose of, like, these supers too, right? What are these? If you jump, you know, command grab super. Let me jump this. You know, it's a command grab. I gotta jump it to avoid it. If you back jump this, you can't punish it. If you jump this and don't land with an aerial, she's only minus 49. So most characters, if their jump arcs, this is the fastest one in the game, it's minus 42. So Charlotta can jump and land and do a far M, and that is perfectly 49 frames. So Charlotta can jump and not land with an aerial and then hit a button, and it's frame perfect punish, but you can do it, right? Every other character in the game can't do this, right? That basically you can land and throw maybe and get a frame perfect sort of thing, but if you don't land with an aerial, you cannot punish this. And God forbid again you back jump, you can't punish this. Now of course you can back dash this, and then you get a much easier punish, sure. But like, you hard read the grappler's command grab super, they should be like minus. And like, these supers, by the way, are insane, right? They're like completely invincible, and they're unblockable. But they're also so hard to punish for some reason. This one's even worse. This one's gigantic. This is the hardest hitting super in the entire game. It does like 9,000 damage on 2 breakpoints. Why are these so hard to punish? Side games, right? And then again, it's we go to examples of supers. Bubs being the best example of this overall, right? Why is Bubs SBA like minus 55? If it was consistent, that'd be one thing, right? Why is Beelzebub SBA or minus 41? I think it's minus 55 if like only the projectile hits or something. There's one of them that's minus 55, I think. I can't remember. Yeah, maybe I'm tripping. But yeah, minus 41 still compared to minus 11, and his command grab super is minus 80, 85. Why? Don't hold the button. Oh, okay, gotcha. It's the non. I thought the held one was more minus. Up close. Don't hold the button. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, minus 55. There you go. So, why is that minus 55, and his command grab is minus 85, right? But Ladilla is minus 11 or minus 9 or minus 8, and her command grab is minus 49. Why? And so, that is a general... So, I'm talking about like a general state of the game right now, and we're talking about the patch and changes in the patch. Well, if you can't tell, almost none of this has been changed, right? The only real character that got like their reversals that were very dumb, like made less dumb, is this girl, basically, right? Like Vera, to be fair, deserved this, right? But like, why was it like only her, basically, right? Like this went from minus 8 to minus 15. By the way, this should probably be more minus, even still. I think all supers, we'll talk about it at the end, right? But like, why is this minus 15? Or like this got moved from minus 8 to minus 15, and also her MDP install, I think, is also minus 15 now. Where this DP used to be safe on block, to be fair. This was one of the most egregious examples in the entire video game. This was a straight up meterless DP that was safe on block, right? This shit was, you know, I'm gonna say a bad word. This shit was really stupid, right? I cannot believe it. So, these are good changes. This being minus 15, that is a great idea. This being, you know, this being minus 15, that is a great idea. Honestly, I think both of them should be more minus. And again, with that in mind, you know, why is this still minus 8? Why are the supers still minus 11? I could go by and like every character and show you like characters that cheat on their supers. Here's a great example too of one that is really dumb. Where is he? Where is the little, yeah. Why is Lancelot's like SSBA like minus 3 or something if you hit it from the right angle, right? Like why, this thing's like minus 7 at worst, I think? Yeah, what the fuck is this? What the hell is this? Why is this minus 7? It's an SSBA? What do you mean? Like, there are for real characters whose best option on this is a light punish. Are we serious? The reversals in this game are really, really good. And the reward on hit for them is very, very good, right? So, why in God's name are they this hard to punish so many times? It's supposed to be high risk, high reward. Okay? So, if I hard call out my opponent's super, they should just die. This could be minus like 60. Why the hell not, right? Every super in the game should be like minus 30 and up. You have to crossover, it only works mid-screen. That's a great example. So Alex Gold, that's a great... People say this a lot, right? Here's another example of like a super that's not hard to punish, but I think it's dumb and in its current state. Let's use Bubs for both sides of the coin here, right? Let's use Bubs for both sides of the coin. This super is not hard to punish, right? This one right here. Because, you know, all you do is you spot dodge this, you gotta punish. Sure. But like, why do I even have to spot dodge this? There should be no reason that there should be anything funny going on to punish a reversal. Right? Yeah, because, yeah, you spot dodge these like minus 30 and, you know, sure. But like, just if I hard call out your reversal and I'm either not there when you hit it or I block it, you should go to hell. Leave the quirky, fun character designs for somewhere else, man. Put them in their skills, in their specials, in their normals, anywhere but the reversals. Leave your fun, quirky character design ideas outside of the reversals. We don't need this here, right? This is like on the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad. You have to spot dodge this, but this feeds into the idea of like, why are the reversals complicated to punish or difficult to punish in this game? I personally think it's bad design. I don't like it, right? So in general, and again, the reason this is on this is the second biggest miss of the patch in my opinion, is that almost none of these were changed. I'm doing this is all post-patch, right? It's all still the same. Again, it really is only like Vera's DPs and supers, and I think Lancelot UDP, and Voss Taco got nerfed, I think. But like overall, there's still very many supers and reversals that just like make no sense, right? They just make no sense for why they are so difficult to punish. A good example too, for what I'm talking about, in terms of like even things that aren't that bad but are still dumb. Why is the second hit of this move an overhead? Oh, is it down for him? I think it is, right? Right, like, okay, this is not a hard DP to punish. You just hold back and he dies, he's minus 25. Like, why is it a punish? Or, sorry, why is it an overhead? Why, like, we don't need quirky, funny things in the reversals, right? Why is the second, why do you, if you crouch block the second hit of this, you die, right? Like, it knocks you down. Why? Why? Right? Like, this is not where we need quirky character design. It's an overhead, yeah. If you hold on, if I set Charlotte to crouch, right? Blocks all, block switching disabled, and crouching, right? And then I do this. Oh, no, sorry. I do this. Right? It's an overhead. Why? Right? Again, these are, in the grand scheme of things, these are less egregious than a minus 8 DP, right? But like, or minus 7, that's who's crouching, yeah. But like, still, none of that could be in the game, in my opinion, and none of that changed, almost none of that changed in the patch, and I hate that. All right. Before we're gonna get into what I think is the biggest hit and the biggest miss of the patch in a second here. But before we get there, in classic top 5, top 10 fashion, I do have a couple of honorable mentions to go over, right? Things that I didn't really know, like I didn't really like. They were good, but I don't think they really warranted themselves. They didn't really warrant themselves being on this list, right? So let's talk about. I'm gonna talk about 2 hits in a row and 2 misses in a row, right? Kind of like things that, you know, I think were cool, right? But I just, you know, I don't know. Right, so I'll bring up the 2 characters I think were hits, but not quite big enough that I want to put them on here, or maybe I'm still like a little unsure about them, right? So here's something funny, right? These unironically, I think these characters were hits, but like, just let me talk for a sec. Right? I want to talk about UL and Seox. So Seox is easier to explain. Let's start with UL. UL is probably still didn't get exactly what you needed in the patch, right? I will say I think UL is probably still not a great character, but I think UL was really boring last patch, right? I think UL was incredibly boring last patch, in the sense that UL didn't really, like, you just down back on this bitch, and she did, like, you know, you just down back and react to her throw, and she just didn't have offense, right? Now, again, UL is probably still not great, but I think they changed her in a way that made her, at the very least, much more interesting to fight, okay? I'm not going to talk about to play, because I don't play UL, but at least to fight, UL is much more interesting to fight. There's actually a decision to be made every time she's in the stance, because this is an overhead now, right? And her parry, not just losing to overheads, or being able to actually parry overheads by like doing the parry. I forget what the exact, the actual input for it is. Is it like forward and U or something? Back and U? I can't remember. Back, forward and special? That's one, yeah. So this is a manual parry now, but it actually blocks overheads and stuff, right? Again, UL is like, feels like a real character with a game plan now, instead of just like, again, this character felt like she did nothing last patch. She had like decent normals, right? She had decent normals and like pretty okay mid-screen damage, and like decent damage overall, right? But she just like didn't do anything. So letting her actually play the video game, even if she still needs more to be like an actually strong character, I think UL is still pretty bad, right? Which is why she's only like an honorable mention here. But I think the route they're going with her, the direction they steered her towards, right, is good. I think the direction they steered UL in, this is a much more interesting design for the character, in my opinion. Again, even though she's still a little bit bad. Seox is much easier to explain. Seox, they just gave him 14,000 health and nerfed his throw bait, right? Is it back? Yeah, it is. Right? I like it, man. So they nerfed his throw bait, sure, fine, making it actually like this move was kind of dumb. This move felt like a bug in the last game. I'm pretty sure it was plus if you spot dodge this last patch, right? So like this being like really minus on spot dodge, that's a good thing, certainly, right? And 14,000 health is a really big nerf, right? So I think I do like the Seox changes, because what I wanted from Seox, again, I don't mind Seox being strong. I don't mind characters being strong. I just wish he had a little bit more risk associated with him, right? I don't mind him having incredibly oppressive offense, right? Like he has, and like just forcing constant like high lows and things on you, right? I don't mind that at all. But just, you know, make him a little bit more risky. And what I in my wish list video before the Versusia patch dropped, what I had suggested, right, was I was like, oh, you know, make his parry worse, make his defensive options worse, maybe like make some of his, you know, make his defensive options worse to give him a little bit more risk when he wasn't winning. But they went in a different route, right? But I think I like it still. They just gave him 14,000 health. Yeah, sure, right? Again, it just makes him much more, you know, yes, he's still very strong when he's in your face, but he just dies now a lot of the time. See, like, I do get caught off guard by it. I forget that they made this change a lot of the times with Seox, because he just dies now, right? Like, I'll like do a combo on him and be like, why is there so much red in the health bar?
Ready or not.
At the end of the day, I mentioned it when I was reading the patch notes, losing 2,000 HP is a gigantic nerf. So, they did a good job with Seox. I don't think it's anything too revolutionary, right? But again, I think it's a good part of the patch, right? So, those are our two honorable mentions for hits. For misses, we're going to talk, there's kind of like, so I want to talk about two characters here, and one of them is going to be strange, right? So, Vane, I'm going to talk about Vane, and I'm going to talk about Beatrix, actually. I'm going to talk about Vane and Beatrix, two DLC characters, right? So, Vane is a weird one. Let's talk about him first, right? Vane got better this patch, but I will say, this might not, I want to preface this by saying this might not be, does Beatrix count? Yeah, give me a second here. This might not be Vane's fault. This might not be the Versusia patch's fault, right? I think Vane's character design is a little bit flawed baseline, in the sense that we were talking about earlier about moves that are hard to balance or characters that are hard to balance, right? Like, this move is kind of like just a bad idea to like have in a fighting game, I think, because this move can only really ever be useless or completely broken, right? And you can see it. Vane has some of the most polarizing matchups in the entire game, right? There are characters that Vane doesn't feel like a character against, and characters that literally can't play the game against Vane. So, while they made him better in the Versusia patch, certainly, and I think giving him mid-screen damage, because like one of Vane's things always was he's a zoner, but he hits hard, right? Like he was always like a beefier zoner. He had 16,000 health, right? And he did a lot of damage. So like giving him mid-screen is a good idea, I think. But there is a fundamental character design problem with Vane that was not addressed in the Versusia patch. Now, to be fair, I don't know how you address this, right? I couldn't tell you how to fix shield, which is why it's an honorable mentions thing, right? Like, because I think this is not really the Versusia patch's fault. I think it's just like this is a bad character design decision for Vane. Because you can see, like, again, I guess, you know, characters like, you know, fast characters, this like run, like this thing loses straight up to like people running through the shield. So like fast characters, Abel, yeah, I mean, anyone with a good 6XL or good dash speed or something, they just run through it, right? But then, you know, if you're talking about Vasaraga, I've recently been playing Voss, and the Voss-Vane matchup feels like the worst matchup I have played in the entire video game, right? Nothing Ladilla has is nearly as bad. So, he's weird. Again, I'm not sure, I'm keeping it there because I'm not sure if it's the patch's fault or like the DLC character's fault to begin with. I don't know how you balance this guy, right? Voss-Vane, yeah, Voss-Vane is disgusting, Alex. It's horrible. It's horrible. Like, it feels like it feels like the worst matchup I've played in the entire game. Ladilla, Ferry, Ladilla Kag, Ladilla Cat, Ladilla Cats, Ladilla Zeta, none of those things feel as bad. Even, like, it feels like a whole, like, point lower than those, you know? Like, you want to talk about, like, you know, 6.5, 3.5 to, like, 7.5, 2.5 or something. And yeah, Charlotta also gets her shit rocked by the shield, right? Beatrix is a weird one, okay? It might feel weird to put Beatrix on here, because Beatrix basically got no changes in the patch, because she got her own emergency patch before the patch dropped. Oh, you got the early access faith? I'm not really an early, like a pre-order kind of guy. But yeah, good luck with Sparking Zero. I hope you enjoy it. But, so Beatrix is weird because she didn't really get changed in the patch at all. I get it. But, with the full hindsight of the patch now, funny enough, the emergency patch they dropped for Beatrix really did not nerf her enough, huh? Like, when it was just her, when she was the only character who got nerfed, it was like, god damn. Like, they took a lot of her damage out, right? They made a lot of things punishable that weren't. Holy shit. But then, like, so for example, we were like, they made you riding free. This is like one of the only moves of this caliber that is like both, decently slow. It's in that like you lariat, you Sora's you dash punch tier of move, so it is quite reactable, but it's also unsafe on block, right? We were like, oh, is this like a sign of things to come for the Versusia patch? Is every use skill gonna be made, like, are all use skills gonna be made like unsafe on block or really unsafe on spot dodge or something, right? But like, no, this is the only one that went this way, right? But besides that, she decently slow 2-2U. Yeah, it's the same speed as like you lariats. If you can react to you lariats, you can react to this, right? It's slower than like Grimnir's bionic arm or something. The thing it has obviously is low profiles. Thank you, Edge. Glad to hear it, and welcome to the stream. But anyway, besides those nerfs to like the riding freeze, sure, she still is like a very strong character, a very easy character. Still has a pretty good amount of damage. And listen, I've had this take since day one of her patch dropping, right? And since Beatrix came out in the first place, before her patch even dropped, I kind of always thought that the actual strong thing about Beatrix was a combination of her being really fast, having a command grab, right, and having an unreactable mid-screen combo starter, right? These three things together, I think, were actually the big problems with Beatrix, and none of those got touched, realistically, right? So now, when all of the other characters around her get nerfed, it really shows that, like, oh yeah, the core of what made this character strong is still right there, right? So she's still really, really good, right? So she's a miss in the sense that, again, it's not really the Versusia patch, it's just more so that she probably should have been nerfed a little bit harder, right? She probably should have been nerfed a little bit harder in her emergency patch. Or, don't emergency patch her, but I guess maybe it was necessary, sure, but like, if you're gonna emergency patch her, yeah, go a little bit harder in the paints and just wait for the patch to make everything make sense. You know what I mean? Anyways, you can also, for like, you could argue some other things, but like, I know Yoon was mentioning Lucy. I'm a wait and see on Lucy. I think they made Lucy really strong. I'm a wait and see. I'm not quite so sure that I'm ready to call Lucy a mistake yet, right? All right, now let's get into what I think is the best and worst thing about the patch, right? So let's start with what I think. You know what? Let's end on a high note. Okay, we'll end on a high note. So I'll start with what I think is the biggest miss. Okay, so I called an audible here, and it's not gonna take very long to explain it all, right? But the biggest miss of the patch, I think, and the reason this is the biggest one is it's universal, is Brave counter does not exist in the patch notes, right? Look at it. Let's look at the patch notes, right? These are the universal changes. 6XL got changed, U skills got changed, Rating Strike got changed. Like, every important universal mechanic is different now. Except for Brave Counter. Brave Counter is literally missing from the patch. Now, with that being said, I know it sounds very dramatic to say, like, it's literally the biggest miss of the patch. I have gone on record before saying that I don't think Brave Counter needs to be nerfed as hard as some people think it does. I think Brave Counter is strong, but it needs to be strong, and I'm okay with it remaining strong. But there's a few too many things about Brave Counter, right? I think you could have very easily nerfed. I'm gonna get to what I think is actually the best change for it, but I think there's a couple of things you could have nerfed about Brave Counter to make it a little bit more reasonable. One, Brave Counter is, how do I do this? Let me, I guess, record him Raging Striking, and then, right? Brave Counter is +6 on block. Maybe it shouldn't be +6 on block, right? Brave Counter is safe when you bait it, right? Actually, right there, I did it like so preemptively, it was fine, but yeah. Brave Counter is safe when you bait it, oftentimes, right? Maybe it shouldn't be safe when you bait it. The real big thing, though, yeah, so I don't think those changes are like, those are not really the biggest problems, I think. The real big problem with Brave Counter, and I think and there was news of this at EVO, you were like, oh, Brave Counter's different, but it seems that they maybe rolled it back, or people were lying at EVO, or I don't know exactly. But the really big problem with Brave Counter, realistically, is that counter hit Brave Counter is a hard knockdown, right? Let me see if I can, how can I best orchestrate this? There you go. Yeah, this is the real problem with Brave Counter, right? Is that counter hit Brave Counter is a hard knockdown, and like, getting side-swapped into, like, getting basically side-swapped and save-jumped for just daring to lose your turn, or to take your turn, right, is a little much. It's not like it's hard to get counter hit BC. In fact, it requires you to play around it so much to not get counter hit. So, I know it sounds dramatic. So like, if they just made that one change, if counter hit BC either knocked you further away and just reset back to neutral, or like didn't knock you down, or didn't. I think the real answer is counter hit BC should be exactly the same as regular BC, right? Regular hit BC, as you can see, all right? Let me see if I can get him to do it right here. I have to like hit the button for him at the same time. So give me a second. Oh, he's not blocking? Why is he not blocking? There you go. Excuse me, sir. Regular hit BC is not a hard knockdown. I just think that it should be like this all the time. I think BC should just like never give you like counter hit BC and regular BC should be exactly the same, right? I just don't think that Brave counter should give you a hard knockdown, right? And if you make that one change, that completely shifts the landscape of the game. Don't get it twisted, right? But I think that this needed to be changed in some way. Either not making it. Is there a way to get the CPU to BC on block in training mode? Not that I can tell. No, I record them to Raging Strike, and go from there. But yeah, so they should have changed it in some way because Brave counter is still a little too strong. Like again, I don't. If you made all of those changes, if it was no longer plus on block and no longer safe on block or safe on bait and didn't hard knockdown, that's too much. BC needs to be strong, I think. Right? BC needs to be strong. But like the counter hit giving you a side swap, it just feels like a mistake. Right? It feels like it shouldn't be the case. This shouldn't be the case, I think. Right? Record, hold guard, press MH a bit later. Yeah. It's easy enough to do regardless. But yeah, so it might again. This might seem weird compared to other things. Bigger problems like Belial and things like this. But this is a universal. This is a universal mechanic. Right, so nerfing this would actually have changed the it would have changed the landscape of the game significantly, and they just like didn't do it at all. Right, so I would consider this the worst thing about the patch. Now, that might that's not that bad, I suppose, but this to me is the worst thing about the patch. Right, I think in the Vakala patch, I really hope that Brave counter gets nerfed in some way, shape, or form. Right, because it's a little too good. It's good that it's strong. It's a little too good. All right, now. Very strangely, I'm gonna call this, if you've been watching my videos for a while, I'm about to discuss what I think is the biggest win of the patch, the biggest hit of the patch, right? And if you've been watching my videos for a while, see you faith, have fun spelling Spark and Zero, but if you've been watching my videos recently, you might be surprised by this, but I am gonna talk about what I think is the biggest hit of the patch, okay? And so, I'm gonna talk about Nier, alright? Now, hear me out. Right? Because I have over and over again mentioned that I think this character got over-nerfed significantly, right? And I think it's true. I think Nier really did get hit way harder than she needed to, right? Like the rework is a nerf baseline, right? The rework is like just the rework of like making her Love's Redemption stocks work kind of like Eddie, right? That's a nerf, not a side grade. That is a big nerf. And then she can't Raging Strike anymore if Death is either out or recovering. That's gigantic. She can't, her damage has gone down, right? Because all of her special cancels get an 80% damage debuff, right? Some of her best normals got nerfed. I need to like check. Like Nier has so many, I say this all the time. Nier has so many individual changes that if one line of Nier's patch notes happened to your character, you'd be dooming still today, like months later, right? You would still be dooming, right? So, oh yeah, I just forgot. There's so many things that they took away from Nier. I forgot they just like took away her meterless DP. Nier doesn't have a meterless DP anymore, right? Her U skills got nerfed significantly. She went from being the best character in the game and dealing with Brave counter to the worst because Brave counter completely just unsummons Death. Throw teching her unsummons Death. She can't Raging Strike anymore when Death is out or recovering. Her best normals besides Far H all got nerfed. God, her install sure is maybe better, but like it's all horrible. There's literally, when I tell you there are too many gigantic nerfs to Nier to even list them all, right? Yeah, the resources, she costs more resources now. There are too many gigantic nerfs to Nier to even list them all, right? And I just said I don't like gutting characters, and I do think Nier was gutted, not changed. I'm gonna put out a tier list relatively soonish for Vakala drops, I think, and people are gonna be very surprised by where I have Nier, I think, right? I think Nier is really bad now. But it's the biggest hit of the patch. Why? Nier's been over-nerfed. It's too much. It's crazy. She didn't need all of that. Why do I think it is the single best thing to come out of the patch? I said this before the patch dropped. I fully expected to go into the patch being like, Nier got over-nerfed, this is too much. However, they kind of needed to do this. It's not really Nier's fault. It's not Nier's fault, but oh my god, the sheer amount of bitching about this character before the patch, right? You motherfuckers wouldn't shut up about Nier. Like, people were like dropping the game because of Nier. People would not shut the fuck up about how little they liked fighting Nier, how little they liked they liked seeing Nier in tournament, right? People complained to hell and back about this character. They had to put her in the fucking ground because people were literally dropping the game because she was in it, right? So, as much as I think the nerfs were stupid and too much and bad, like, this is bad design. You can tell me, oh, Nier deserves it, I don't care, whatever, all you want, right? This is bad design. Plain, simple, non-negotiable. This is bad design. There's no discussion here. Removing a universal mechanic from a character is bad design. I don't care how strong the character is. They can't rating strike anymore is just stupid. But it kind of needed to happen because of the community. Because the community was so goddamn toxic about this character, basically, right? It kind of had to happen. By the way, the character was not as strong as people were making her out to be in terms of the amount of hate that she got. Nier was obviously the best character in the game, right? Obviously, she was the best character in the game. But I did not really take her. I did not really subscribe to the Kool-Aid that Nier was in her own tier, right before the patch. I don't think so. So, this was too much. Again, though, from a pure, just strategic point of view of like, we have a video game, and people need to play the video game. People are not playing the video game right now, or they're hating the video game, or like overall, there's just so much hate for the video game. Because of this one character. She was in her own tier. I disagree. I think she was obviously the best character in the game. I don't think she was in her own tier, but we have different opinions. That's fine. Because of all that, I think it needed to happen. I think Nier needed to get shot twice in the head and, 3 times on Thursdays and thrown in the ditch and bear it. Over the course of the next few patches, maybe they can like start to rebuild her, right? But I think what they did here was necessary. Launch Nier was in her own tier? Yes, fair enough. But again, yes, but if Launch Nier was unnerfed until where the Niers got her, she'd be in her own tier. But actually, Launch Nier, the Niers were so bad at playing her. Niers sucked at Nier when Nier first released, right? To the point that actually Nier was probably better after they took her DP canceling away. Because the Niers built her up so much. And they discovered like all these setups and things. Nier was probably better after they nerfed her than before they nerfed her, because the community kept building her up so much. But yes, on paper, Launch Nier was probably, in her own tier broken, but we never saw that Nier. Nobody ever saw that Nier in brackets. It's a hypothetical, right? Anyways, with all that being said, Nier got horribly over-nerfed. I think it is horrible design what they did to her, but again, because people were bitching so goddamn much, they had to do it, and I think that was actually a very good decision, and I expected as much, and they did as much, and this, I think, is the best thing about the patch. Despite the fact that I've been saying only negative things about it, you have to do it. You have to do it, and they did it. I feel bad for, it was literally, it feels like it was necessary, right? And it's happened, right? Nier is just not showing up in brackets nearly as much as she used to, right? She's still there, but she's certainly it is. First off, a lot of the Niers dropped her, right? But even still, a lot of the really good Niers are not exactly getting the same kind of results they might have before, right? To an extent. So, mission accomplished, sir. And she's certainly the other thing too is Nier is way too hard to play if you're not if you're not Elsa or Zippy saw in Nier, right? Last time I saw Zippy was playing Lucilius, but if you're not Elsa or Nochi or something like that, if you're not one of the literally best Niers or Belucas as well, he's Zippy's not on Nier. Yeah, last time I saw him play, he was playing Lucilius, which is a horrifying idea to me. But yeah, he is so hard to play at for even middle rank skill players, right? That if you're not even outside of tournament, he has fallen off the face of a cliff. Right? In mid-tier, S+, S rank level play. She's gone. Because that character is so hard to play now to even get her to be okay, right? To the point that, if you're just, an okay Nier player, you just die. She's more, I could see the idea that, she plays more like an actual puppet character now, but again, her power level is too low. The design might be good, but the power level went way down way too low. Anyways, Yeah, that, I think, is gonna do it as far as this video. Went an hour and 10 minutes, which is about, probably, honestly, about as long as I expected it to go. But yeah, that is, in my opinion, the 5 biggest hits and biggest misses of the patch. Real quick to recap, right? At number 5, for the hits, Ladilla, they made her, again, call me crazy, I know a lot of divas hate it, but they want to make Ladilla more of a grappler, and she is now. She's still, the universal mechanics are hostile to her, right? So she's still a bad character. But the design they were going with for Ladilla works better now. Yes, I'll show Zangief in a second. Sorry, let's finish off this video. The design they were going for, it fits, right? She's more of a grappler, it's what they meant to do. The universal mechanics, the problem with Ladilla is not the design changes, it's the universal mechanics of this game are inherently hostile to grapplers. Number 5 biggest miss is Zeta, I think. Zeta, just like, I think they believed the hype, again, it's like a Twitter bitching thing. They believed the hype that Zeta was just like a bunch of U skills and nothing else. Zeta was solid, even excluding her U skills, even before the patch, and they took her U skills, not away, but even way worse, and then gave her way too many compensation buffs. I think Zeta is probably a little bit better than they thought she was going to be now, right? Number 4 biggest hits is Avatar. Avatar is kind of toxic, right? But I think the character actually fits his design much better now, and he's actually good and not a joke character. He actually does, like, kill you when he touches you whenever, but he spends even more of his health mid-screen now, right? So, he kills you even more and dies even more. He actually functions in the role he was designed to play, right? So I think Avatar, great work. Number 4 biggest miss, Ferry, one-sided dominance. They fucked it up, but again, very hard to balance as a character, so I don't blame them too much. Number 3 biggest hits, 6XL close M. Oh my god, thank you. Everyone getting dash L into close M. This needed to be standardized, and they did it, and that is just so good. It has a much bigger impact on the power level of characters than you think, and it being a universal change, it means it matters a lot. Number 3 biggest miss. What the fuck are we doing with Belial, fellas? Belial? Really? Belial? I was gonna say Belial. You know, you understand. Belial is the worst singular character balance decision I have seen in the past several years of fighting games. Number 2 biggest hits, Siegfried. Very elegant, very elegant nerf, right? He's still good, but they nerfed him in a way, they took the dumbest thing about him away, and it had some far-reaching consequences I didn't even realize day 1, right? Number 2 biggest miss, reversals. Reversals in this game are dumb and designed poorly, and they don't make sense, and almost none of that changed in the patch. Hecko, thank you very much for the gifted sub to Steeler right there. Much appreciated, good sir. Number 1 biggest hit, Nier. Over-nerfed, but had to be for PR reasons. Number 1 biggest miss, Wise Brave counter, not in the patch notes. Come on, Psy Games. Just, like, do something with it. Ideally, make hard counter hit BC, not be a hard knockdown. That is the list. That is the video. We're probably gonna play some Voss in a second here, fellas, for the stream watchers. But for the VOD watchers, hello, hi, let me just send you guys on your way real quick. Hope you had a good time with the video. If you did, you know what it is, any kind of likes, subscribes, comment, bells, all of that good stuff helps out a lot. It is greatly appreciated. I also stream every day from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern, except for Friday, so if you want to come by and hang out, I encourage you to do so. I think you'll have a good time around here. I also have a Discord if you want to join that, !Discord in the Twitch chat as well. But yes, if you want to join Discord, it's a great place to learn about the game, make some friends, you know, have a good community around you, do all that. But if you do join, be nice, or I'll shoot you in the head in Minecraft, most importantly. Hope you had a great time hanging out today, as always. I know I sure did. Overall, again, the patch is good. 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 But there are just a couple of really big question marks. Overall, though, patch 1.5, I think a great success, a very well-done patch by Psy Games. And it makes me optimistic for the Vikala patch, hopefully. But yeah, that is going to do it for this video for now. We're going to play some Voss in a second here, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!